Do you have a rat pedal? If not, maybe you should get one. I must admit the rat pedal was not my favorite pedal when I got it. I got it because I thought I really needed a distortion pedal for some of the songs that I was doing in the band. And I've always been more of a Strat blues overdrive guy, like a Tube Screamer or some kind of light transparent overdrive or like some kind of Klon clone for a boost. You know, basically kind of a John Mayer-y thing. That's the sounds that I like. That's the tones that I like. That's the way that I play the guitar. But being in a band, we do lots of covers, lots of different stuff. And I thought, I was like, I'm going to need a little bit more gain. So I went down to the local guitar center, tried out a few things, and I picked up this guy. I played it at the store, and I liked it, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't really tuned into what a distortion pedal is, but I thought it had like a nice mid-range and I could get some good sounds out of it. So I took it home, plugged it into my rig, plugged it into my with my Telecaster the first time, and like I just could not get it to sound good. Like there was something about it that just no matter what I tried, I couldn't get the sound that I wanted. So I put it up on my shelf and I forgot about it and thought maybe I'll keep it. Maybe I'll sell it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have it just in case because it is a popular pedal. But the other day, something interesting happened. I was in the car and I was wanting to listen to some music, and I've kind of been in this stage where I've gone back to some Hendrix stuff just because like I really love his style. I love the way that he plays. Like I like to wrap my thumb and I like to do all little licks and stuff. Like there's a whole school of a style that's like Hendrixy, I think, you know, and you can kind of identify guys that are in that camp. And so I've been kind of working my way down through some of like the proteges of Hendrix over the years. And some of them are more subtle than others. Like obviously there are, you know, like a Stevie Ray Vaughan who is kind of obvious. And then there's a John Mayer, you know, which is maybe obvious to some extent. But then there's other guys like John Frusciante for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and there's Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, and there's probably a bunch of other ones that I'll think of eventually, but that got me kind of in the mood for listening to those guys, and I'm like, okay, let's listen to some Pearl Jam, because I wanted to hear kind of Mike McCready's playing and kind of how it fits in a rock setting, you know, not necessarily a blues thing. And so the first song that came to mind was Yellow Ledbetter, which if you haven't heard that song, take the time to go listen to it after this video. It's really cool, and it's just a classic Pearl Jam song, which you've probably heard if you don't think that you've heard it. And so I turned that on, and sure enough, there was the kind of Hendrixy clean stuff. You know, you could hear the kind of the chord shapes that Hendrix does, and then, you know, there was some of the licks and the fills and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. And then it gets to the guitar solo section, and Eddie Vedder says, "Make me cry," which is awesome. And then they launch into the guitar solo. Now, I'm not sure like if that's Mike McCready doing the solo or if it's the other guitarist, which I can't remember his name right now. But either way, it really caught my interest as like a cool sound, because it wasn't like a bluesy kind of overdrive thing. It was kind of dirty, like distorted. And so like the main guitar sound went from being this clean kind of Hendrixy thing to being this distorted kind of fuzzy, rude sounding thing. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, I need to make that a thing on my rig. And I started to think, well, what do I have? And the only thing that really came to mind was the Rat. I was like, oh, I can do that with the Rat, because the Rat can be somewhat of an overdrive, and it can be somewhat of a distortion, a good distortion, be somewhat of a fuzz. So it does a little bit of everything. And so that really opened my mind to like trying the Rat in a new way. So I did. So I put it on the board. I kind of set it up as like maybe a lower gain distortion pedal, still more than like an overdrive, but not like as chunky as like a Metallica kind of thing. More like kind of a classic rock kind of sound. And so I put that on the board. I dialed in some tones, and I gave it a shot. So what did you think about that? Was that a cool sound? I thought it's really cool. I'm like going to use it a lot now, kind of as like a main solo vibe. Also threw on like the double tracker from the Strymon Deco and a little bit of Warm is what it's called, digital delay from the DD8, just to thicken it up a little bit and give it something interesting. But that's something that really fascinates me, is like trying to develop a unique sound for solos. Obviously, like a lot of it's in your fingers and in your playing, but it's also in effects and like these subtleties. Like nothing, I don't like stuff to be super over the top, but I thought that was nice, kind of a subtle, different tone to kind of set things apart. There's always a bit of a kind of a negotiation that goes on when you're playing in a cover band, especially. Because you want to be able to serve the song and do what the song calls for, but you also want to be able to express yourself, and to kind of be honest and true to who you are. And so I think this is kind of a cool compromise for me of doing something that I find interesting and unique, but that also serves the song. And, the Rat can be used to do other things. Like it does power chords. Great. It does all kinds of stuff. So it just ends up being a really versatile pedal. So what do you guys think? Do you like the Rat? Do you have one? Have you tried it as a solo sound, not just a chunky power chord sound? If not, that might be something you want to try. If you can see my settings, I've got the distortion somewhat down. I've got the filter a little bit higher and the volume a little bit up. So that's kind of where I landed. But maybe you want to pick up a Rat and give it a shot. Maybe you want to pull it back out of storage if you've put it up. And just kind of see what it can do. Well, for me, it works, and I'm going to use it for a little while at least. Maybe it'll stick. Maybe it'll stay on the board. And maybe it'll become a part of my sound, whatever that is. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like the Rat? Do you hate the Rat? Do you have one? Do you want one? Got any tips for using one? Some great settings. That's always super helpful. So thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.